so my great grandmother's from Veracruz, and so yeah, she came over, and then then later her daughter came over, and then her children were still in Mexico, and so they went to go get my mother who was in Mexico, and they brought them over. So my mother was born over there, and then I was born at Cedars-Sinai Hospital.
How did my family end up in Los Angeles? Well, my father was born here, my mother was born here, my grandfather on my dad's side was also born here, but my grandmother on my dad's side came from Veracruz. So we're both Veracruzanos.
We're both Veracruzanas, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we look like we're related. We might as well be.
So then on my mom's side, my grandma, my mom's mom is from Chihuahua, and my mom's dad is from Monterrey. So I'm not 100% sure on the story how they came to LA, but they immigrated here.
Oh yeah, I forgot to talk to my dad. My bad. He's from Jalisco.
My grandma did cross. Veracruz is from the southern state. It's the southern state of Mexico. So she came up, on foot, on boat. She did the whole thing. You know what I mean? And first she went to Texas. First she was living in, I think it was El Paso, Texas, and she had my uncle actually in El Paso, with, I guess. So my father has different dads than one of his brothers. So my Tío Rene, he was born in El Paso, and then she came to LA and had my dad and my uncle.
I identify, if you've ever seen the Selena movie, Mexican American. You're not as Mexican and you're not as American, so you're in this weird world. So I definitely find comfort in being called Chicana, and my ethnicity is Mexican. Mis costumbres son de Mexicana. My customs are Mexican. So that's how I identify. Same thing, Christmas, you get tamales. I don't know,
Pozole.
Yeah, but you have this amazing opportunity because you're American, so you can be easily educated and you can do all these other things, work up in the system. Whereas in Mexico, it's a little harder if you don't have the right opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I definitely identify as a Chicana, and it's a really amazing culture. I love it.
So how do I identify in race, ethnicity, and culture? Yeah, Chicano definitely is a part of my identity. For me, I had a different or what would be the original Chicano experience, because my father is actually the Chicano. I'm second generation, so it's slightly different, The experiences are different. The sense of being marginal is slightly different, I grew up in a middle class neighborhood with other middle class Chicanos, as opposed to the way he grew up in East LA, working class, amongst immigrants, and in that working class environment. And my parents are definitely working class, but at a different level. You know what I mean? So because of that experience, I think Chicano is not necessarily at the forefront for me. Mexican American, you know what I mean? Those two are kind of equal to me, Mexican American and Chicano. Because I have a more Americanized identity because of just the way I grew up, as opposed to my father. So yeah, it's like a mixture of all these things. So I consider myself a Mexican American who's strongly connected to his roots, from Mexico, and still view this. Well, we're in Iowa now.
We're definitely in Iowa now. You can tell.
But living in California, that was already Mexico. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but I think that like LA culture, in general, I don't know how it is for you, but to me, being Mexican in Los Angeles, no matter what generation you are, Chicano or otherwise, like it is it's a whole show, like a whole subculture of things, like eyeliner, the chola styles. There's the Pachuco styles that we descended from. There's
Totally.
yeah, there's like their hoop earrings. You know, like if you see everybody's taking on that culture, there's hoop earrings and the lip liner. It's, you know about that culture because of, I don't know, other things are happening different.
The Pachuco culture was like pretty famous. You know what I mean? The way they dress.
Zoot
and all
suit,
that
right?
Zoot suit. That's what I meant.
Yeah. But Chicanos came from the Pachuco. No, Cholos came from Pachucos. Okay, so what is a chola or cholo? Cholo is actually an Aztec word, and it comes from a casting system a long time ago when Spaniards came over here and they casted them at the very bottom. Indigenous culture down here, casting up here was up here were Spaniards, Europeans, and so, but they took back that word and became they took back their culture, and they started becoming more aggressive, more tattooed. You know who they are, lowriders and all that. It's this whole Chicano movement, Pachuco and Cholo. It's a movement. It's an attitude. It's a feeling. It's an energy, and it's pride. And so, but that aside from what gangsters are. It's more of just like a prideful thing. I mean, aside from murders, I'm not deeming that, like, I'm not glorifying it, but it is a culture. Like, people, you go on, please.
No, like, yeah, Amy definitely talked about the history behind it, and you know, it's the way it's portrayed in mainstream media. The word cholo is like associated with just a gangster. You know what I mean? Yeah, a thug.
No good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they are good.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, you gave a good history on that though.
Well, that's not. But like, I loved the cholos I loved all the cholos in my life growing up. I was growing up in a part of Los Angeles, of Echo Park, and in the 80s and 90s, the cholo affair was intense. Like the murderers were intense, but like we were not allowed to go outside at night. But I don't know. It's a fun time. You could see my aunt. She looked like the scariest person. The whole eyeliner thing and the
blonde.
Yeah, she was very pale but very scary. Like she talked.
Scary, yeah.
She talked like that. Yeah, but yeah, the culture.
Yeah, we all have that, you know, experience. I think like we not all of us obviously, but you know, even though I grew up in Alhambra, you know what I mean, but my both of my parents are from Lincoln Heights, so I spent a lot of time in East LA. My friends are from East LA, and you know
your wife is from East LA.
Yeah, my wife's from East LA,
and she, your wife has her family owns a
bar in East LA.
What's it called again? East
Side Love.
East Side Love. And this bar is cool. It's like dedicated to
like Chicano culture.
Chicano culture.
It even has like a throwback vibe. Right?
Yeah. So we go there for all the bailes and all the everything.
Shout out Arlene.
Yup.
And Will.
but like beside all that, like these things are a little different. Chicano and Cholo, they're different. Like the culture itself, like Mexican culture, is amazing. Like in Mexican culture in Los Angeles is what I feel like to me is Chicana. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. For sure.
Yeah, like parties on.
And it's not just like one experience. You know what I mean? Like it's different experiences, but it's growing up with that same identity as being Chicano or Mexican American. We all kind of go through similar situations and experiences, but we all got our different flavors in LA,
Yeah.
Pachuco was like also another culture when it's in itself that was early on in the Chicano culture. It was a subculture of being a Chicano. You know what I mean? Just like I'm in the hip hop culture, you know, as a Mexican American, Pachucos back then, or Chicanos back then, were like in a Pachuco culture where it was basically a style of dress. Yeah, the zoot
suits. And because that time it was World War II, and they were trying to make sure like the women stayed at home and, you know, dress like ration the way their outfits were. But like Pachucos are we were already like, the Mexican culture was already demonized. So they were like, no, we're dressing up, we're showing out. And that's where the zoot suit riots came along, and you know, the policemen started to harass all the Mexican Americans and, you know, hurt them. And then from that era, Pachuco came to Cholos, and the descendants of them. So, you know, from Pachuco dressing up very fly, very doo-wop style looking, you get the Cholos right after, you know, protecting them. But I don't know about you, but I feel really safe. Even though they're Cholos, I feel really safe in that culture. I feel really safe in East Los Angeles. Even though there are gangs all over, I feel really safe when it's compared to a very tall white man with a suit on. That scares me. That scares me. I was like, why are you looking at me like that? Don't be looking at me like that.
You're always gonna love your home, you know. You're
Yeah.
always gonna like, yeah. It's because that's home, you know. So I feel that.
I did not always have this identity because, I mean, yeah, I knew it was there. I knew what Chicano was, but to me, it wasn't glorified. It wasn't, not that it wasn't glorified. People didn't want to, at least the people I was around, I was a kid, I was made fun of for colorism things. I was made fun of for being brown. I was made fun of for like having dark skin, and the Mexican girls only wanted to hang out with me. They were like, oh, we gotta hang out with each other. You can't hang out with Asian girls. You shouldn't hang out with white girls. And it's a lot of blatant racist things that I had gone through because I moved around. I'm not just from, like LA is big. There are different, like you said, Alhambra. I lived in Pasadena for almost all my childhood life. So, and then we've been back and forth to other cities, but like it was a racist thing, and I didn't want to be, Mexican. It's not that I didn't want to be Mexican. I didn't understand why. I don't know how to explain it.
I feel you. It was a bit. Sometimes the word got tainted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because, at least not for us brown people as a sense. You know what I mean? But for other people, you know, they'd be like, you know, it was just the historical racist things. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So I thought me being loud, me being just me, like vibrant, being on top of the world, just kidding. I thought that was maybe like a little off. Maybe I thought I was uneducated or not educated enough. I thought because our values, they're not my values. Like, this is what it means to be very Mexican, is the woman stays at home, cleans, and there are very Mexican things in Mexico that I am not okay with in America because I have Americanized values at times where I'm not gonna be picking up after my man or my partner. So that's where I draw the line.
What was the question again? Did I ever question my identity or want to change or dislike it? I went through different identities, you know, as a kid, you know, as to what I am now. I think we all, you know, go through different identities, you know what I mean? Question my identity, I guess, by default, maybe. I don't think I had that deep of an awareness at that time. But I did understand, at least individually, even though I definitely, like I said, changed what I identified with throughout time, obviously, to what I identify with now. I remember as a kid, because I identified with my dark skin, and you know what, it was crazy that as a kid, I always loved my dark skin. Like I always thought I was cooler because I had dark skin. I'm not gonna, and that's interesting. But I always thought that I was black because I just saw people talk about white and black.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Very gray areas for them.
So I was just like, like I would watch movies and stuff like that, and I'd identify with a black character. You know what I mean? Like, so.
I guess, yeah. I identified with a chola for a little bit. I thought I was a chola my sister did too. We had it all, the loop earrings.
Yeah. I definitely didn't identify as a cholo, but I probably was a wannabe cholo at one point, like a young kid, because I looked up to one of my older cousins, Joel, I guess he could be called a cholo, you know what I mean, but I really looked up to him, when I was a kid.
The most important thing I want you guys to know about our culture is to just be aware that it's there. It's the simplest thing. Just be aware that it's there, where it comes from. Know what is sensitive, what is insensitive. I wouldn't go as far as to say like, oh yes, I would. Actually, I told myself I wouldn't say it, but I'm gonna say it in a more gentle way. It's like, when you go into a very Mexican neighborhood or very Latin neighborhood, no matter who, like very Hispanic neighborhood, just be like respectful and know what's there and be enamored. These people are lovely. These people are amazing. These people have so much substance to them. And the culture is a rich culture, and you can even find it. Do you see what I just found out? That you can find Chicano culture in Japan. These girls wearing lip liner. I saw it on Vice. I was like, but I think it's like they're taking it from LA, which is really cool. Just know where the roots are. But that's for anybody. That's advice to anybody. Know where your roots are. Know where you come from, and it's okay to. Because I finally identified, like I said earlier, later on in life, I finally knew where I came from. I finally found a place for myself. So it's okay to, if you're Mexican and you don't really speak Spanish, if you're Mexican, you just, be proud of your blood. Be proud to be you. Be proud to be you.
What is the most important thing that I want you to know about my culture? Let's see. That's a good question. That we're a culture that's been here forever. It lives on. You know what I mean? It's gone through so much, but our culture is deep, has deep roots, deep history, beautiful history. Yeah.
Your dad's an amazing Chicano professor. Did you guys know that? Did he tell you that his dad's a Chicano professor? Amazing. We were talking about things I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Oh, I feel so ignorant. But just be willing to learn. Be willing to learn about it.
Yeah. Pops definitely gave me my history on myself and my identity and my roots.
Oh. And we love music. We love to dance. Queremos bailar. Selena quote. I'm just kidding. It's not.
It's in the blood.
We love to dance. We love food. We love style. We love attitude.
All of it.
We love nice people too. I like, we're not all hotheads.
It's a love culture.
We like chola. Just kidding. We like lip liner. Actually, I know this sounds really terrible, but I'm really happy because it's a melting pot right now. Everything is opening up. People are understanding what pejoratives are more and more. People are understanding what culture means to certain people. People are understanding culture in general. People are understanding that the United States is a melting pot. People are beginning to become aware, and I'm thinking only good things can come from here. I'm thinking that even by this interview, good things will come from it, So I'm really happy. I mean, it's a little scary right now.
Yeah.
It's a little scary right now.
Yeah.
But I think what's like happening like underneath is why the people are moving. The people are rising up, and I think that's brilliant. You know.
I agree. The awareness is increasing for sure within, the people. I think the common people.
Yeah.
You know, at least here in the United States, it's like, everybody's fed up with, inequality,
Yeah.
injustice.
Racist things.
Hmm.
Racist inequality.
And we're going through an upheaval before it starts to get better. You know what I mean? So, but it's going that way. You know what I mean? And it makes me feel very like surreal because we used to read like this stuff in history books, and now it's just like it's happening right now. But I think right now there's more people who understand that we want to live in peace and freedom. You know what I mean?
And if you're Mexican and you vote for Trump, then you're stupid. Okay, that's all I say. You gotta put my 2 cents in. Fuck Trump. Put that in here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now we got high five on that one.
Hey.
Keep rolling.